Book of Mark, chapter 3, closing out chapter 3 this morning, verses 31 through 35. I'll read it in your hearing. It reads like this. And his mother and his brothers came. Standing outside, they sent to him and called him. And the crowd was sitting around him. And they said to him, your mother and your brothers are outside, seeking you. And he answered them, Who are my mother and my brothers? And looking about at those who sat around him, he said, Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of God, he is my brother and sister and mother. The word of the Lord is blessed, and it is holy, and it's good. Hallelujah. Title of today's sermon comes in the form of a question. Are you in his family? Are you in the family? You may be seated. Are you in the family? They say that blood is thicker than water. That's what they say. Blood is thicker than water. It's an old adage that most of us have used once or twice at least. We use it both in the positive and in the negative. In the positive, we may say this to one of our blood relatives to reassure them of the loyalty that exists between us because of our blood ties. Blood is thicker than water. But on the other hand, in the negative, you may say this to somebody outside of your bloodline to clear up any confusion as to whose side you are on. Blood is thicker than water. The saying simply means that family bonds and blood ties are more crucial in one's life than any other person, any other relationship, or any other need. Some blood is even thicker than other blood. Prove it to you. You get two sisters in a fight, and you are a cousin. Blood ties. But let them two sisters get in the fight, and you as a cousin jump in the middle of it. Anybody ever made that mistake? That thick blood activates, and they end up turning on you. It'll happen. We can all relate in one way or another. Blood is thicker than water. But did you know that there's another lesser known saying? This week I came across another saying that goes like this. Blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. Think about that. I never heard that one, but it's out there. Blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. It sounds similar, but it actually means the opposite. Blood of the covenant, the bond that comes through a mutual promise or agreement. is thicker than water of the womb. We're all born through the water of a mother's womb. None of us chose which womb we were going to be born through. Saying it just represents, or this water of the womb, it represents those unchosen bonds formed by family or blood relations. Simply says, the saying simply says that the bonds that you have consciously, intentionally chosen can be more significant than those family bonds that you had no control over. The blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. Mark chapter 3. It closes out with two arguments, one for each of these sayings. But before I read verse 31 again, I want to go back. I want to bag up to verse 21 where this whole issue started out. Actually in verse 20. Chapter 3, verse 20. It says, "Then he went home, and the crowd gathered again, so that they could not even eat." Verse 21 says, "And when his family heard it, they went out to seize him, for they were saying, 'He is out of his mind.'" Jesus' family had heard about what he was up to, and they had decided that he has completely lost his mind, and we're going to march right down to Capernaum, and we're going to do something about this, because this is a family matter. Verse 31 picks it up. It says, "And his mother and his brothers came, and standing outside, they sent to him and called him." Now they've arrived. They heard, and they went out, but now they have arrived now, and everything is just as they heard it was. When they see the crowd and how this crowd is pressing in on Jesus, about to crush him. When they see the men that these odd men, this odd group of brothers that he has chosen to be his closest friends. When they see these scribes and these Pharisees and how much they can't stand what Jesus is doing. When they see how these scribes and Pharisees are actually planning to harm their son and brother. When they see how Jesus doesn't seem to be at all concerned with any of this. When they see how Jesus is willing to even put the family's good reputation at risk for these people he doesn't even know. I'm sure they're all thinking the same thing. Doesn't he know that blood is thicker than water? He needs to be more concerned about us than he is with these strangers, these outsiders. We are the ones who have been there his whole life. We are the ones who know him the best. We are the ones who love him the most. Yeah. This is blood, and it's thicker than water. They felt like Jesus should be more loyal to his family. He's out here fighting against these local scribes. And now he's even embarrassing the heavyweights, these guys that have come down from Jerusalem. He's embarrassing them now. Come on, Jesus. All this because you're trying to save these sick, selfish, demon-possessed people. You really need to be more concerned about how all of this is going to affect the family and the family name. Because blood is thicker than water. They must have felt pretty strongly about this, because look at just the arrogance with which they approached Jesus. It says they came and standing outside, they sent to him and called him. Can you imagine if I went up to a church where Bishop Murray was actively preaching? I told the greeter outside, hey, listen, I got an issue with something going on. Can you go up there and get Bishop Murray? Tell him to come on out here. I need him. Tell him to come out here. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Well, here we have Jesus' family on the outside, calling him to leave those who are on the inside, the ones who he has called to himself. Looking carefully, we can see that there's a huge implication hanging on how Jesus reacts. Because there are two apostles in particular who are in the room, and they're watching this play out very, very closely. It's James and John. James and John are watching very closely. Why do I say that? Bet you their hearts are pounding like a drum. Because everything is on the line right now in their minds. Because remember, while they were fishing, this man came down the sea, down the shoreline. They were in the boat with their daddy. And he called to them and said, follow me. And what did they do? They got out of their boat, left their dad behind, and followed Jesus. I'm sure that at that time, everybody would agree that blood is thicker than water. On that day when Jesus came, I'm sure they all thought, hold on, blood is thicker than water. But something about this man, Jesus, compelled them to believe in him. Hallelujah. He left their father in the boat and followed Jesus. I love my daddy. And I left him in the boat. And now Jesus' mama is outside and she's calling him. They're watching this like, oh, is he going to leave us now and go with her? Got to be questioning in their minds, is blood really thicker than water? Because obviously Jesus' family, his mother and his brothers, they think so. I'm so glad that right now today we don't ever have to worry about whether or not Jesus will ever leave us. His word tells us he'll never leave us, nor will he ever forsake us. You are the apple of God's eye. He has no temptation. He has no distractions pulling his attention away from you. He doesn't deal with that. He bottles up every one of your tears. He counts every hair on your head. He's good at subtraction. He times out every single beat of your heart. He fixed you up so that you don't even have to think about breathing. See, I don't want them to even have to worry about this. I'm going to make it so it just happens automatically. God knows, he cares, he loves you that much, so you can be confident. Confident in his word that no matter what it looks like, he will never leave you alone. Never. But I'm sure these apostles had questions. And that's okay. That's all right. Jesus is going to show them in a moment that they can trust him. They can trust him, that he'll never betray that trust, not even for his mama. That's strong. Verse 32 says, and a crowd was sitting around him, and they said to him, your mother and your brothers are outside seeking you. Jesus is probably at the moment preaching the word when he's interrupted by the greeters. Greeters come in and they tell him, your mother and your brother, they're seeking you. Interesting thing about this word for seeking. Mark uses this word 10 times in his gospel, the Greek word. And every time it's used in a context of someone wanting to take control of Jesus. This particular word he uses. Somebody wants to take, they're seeking him. They want to take control. They have their own agenda. That's the word he uses when he describes how his mother and his brothers were seeking him, looking for him. In most cases, this word was used for how the scribes and the Pharisees were seeking Jesus because they wanted to take control and destroy him. Now, I don't think Jesus' family wanted to destroy him, but it was clear that they wanted to take control of him. Because for them, blood is thicker than water. And in verse 33, Jesus responds to those greeters. He does it in a way that supports that second lesser known saying. He says, and he answered them, who are my mother and my brothers? What are y'all talking about? Jesus asked a question that, again, has implications for everybody in the room this time. It's got implications for you and I too today. The question is designed to stir up those who have become comfortable in their relationship with him. It's also designed to encourage those who may be feeling dejected in their relationship with him. It puts every assumption on the hot seat. And it should cause us all to evaluate and ask ourselves the question, am I in the family? Am I in the family? Jesus has just asked, who are my mother and my brothers? And then Jesus answers his own question. And he gives us how to properly evaluate ourselves and come up with an accurate answer to whether or not we are in his family. An accurate answer. It's in verse 34. It says, and looking about at those who sat around him. Now, the last time Mark mentioned Jesus looking around, remember, he was very angry. He looked around with angry, but this time it's with tender affection that he looks around at those in the room. No doubt everybody felt his love and his acceptance. He said, here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of God, he is my brother and sister and mother. The blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. Can we turn the AC off, if you would, please, someone? See, I'm paying attention to y'all. People start doing this. It's time to cut the air off. But we do our best to try to keep everybody comfortable, because watch, in 3 minutes, if that happens, do me a favor. Before you start, take your coat off before you start saying. We'll cut all of this out of the video, don't worry. They don't need to know how we act. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. That's what Jesus is arguing here. What he's just done is he's just redefined the family. And this new family relationship is far superior. It's stronger. It's more satisfying. It is more demanding. But it's far more dear than any human family relationship that we could ever have. That's the truth. It is an eternal relationship with your forever family. With your forever family. He lets his natural family know no longer can they claim special privilege. Because that water of the womb is not as thick as the blood of the covenant. So from now on, there are only two kinds of people. Those who sit on the inside at Jesus' feet and obey. And those who stand on the outside with invalid claims and improper assumptions. Are you in the family? James Edwards, he says, it is obedience that most clearly demonstrates relationship to Jesus. It's obedience that most clearly demonstrates your relationship to Jesus. Blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. So my brothers and my sisters, you may ask, so what should all this mean for me today? Well, there are several lessons that we can take away from this passage, but allow me just to share just a few as I'm closing. Number one, we ought to make no assumptions pertaining to our or anyone else's closeness to God based on what family you were born into, what church you're a part of, whatever title you may have, how much you do in church, how many Bible verses you've memorized, if you speak in tongues of men and of angels, if you have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, if you have all faith so as to move mountains, if you give everything you have away and then deliver up your body to be burned, even if you are the Blessed Mary, Mother of Jesus, there's only one way to accurately determine with certainty whether or not you are in the family of God. Are you doing His will? Are you doing His will? Not just some of the time. Not only when it's convenient. Not just when the roads are dry and there's no rain falling. Not just when you're not tired. Are you doing His will? Are you abiding in Him and He in you? Are you offering your body as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God? Do you love Him with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength and all your mind? Are you loving your neighbor as you love yourself? Are you doing His will? Number 2, one of the greatest gifts that we can give to others, family or not, is a life lived before him that clearly prioritizes Jesus Christ first. A life lived before your family and friends that they can clearly see you prioritize Jesus first. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give to anyone. No matter how good it makes you feel, you are not truly loving others if you prioritize them over Jesus. You're not loving them. It may feel good to you. It may feel good to them. But it's not the kind of love we're talking about. Men. Well, ladies. If a man tells you, baby, I love you, I put you first, even before Jesus. I'll tell you what you do. You run as fast and as long as you can. Don't look back. Change your telephone number. Dye your hair. Do everything you can to get as far away from that as you can. That's the devil. Men, we can work hard. Spend quality time to show our families how much we love them. But if they don't see us prioritizing Jesus over everything, they're going to miss out. And they're going to lack the full understanding of the greatest love of all, the love of Jesus. Put Jesus first. Now, none of this means that family isn't important. When Jesus made his statement, he didn't stop loving his mother or his brothers. We know that from what he said on the cross. He was actually loving them even more by showing them and even inviting them into a deeper, more rich relationship. This word shows us that our natural family ties are important. But more important are the spiritual, eternal ties that we have together as the family of God. That's characterized by obedience to his will. Lastly, church should feel like family. Church should feel like family. It should be the ultimate expression of real family because of what guides us and what drives us. It is a desire to do the will of God. Praise God for this church. I say that because I observe, I watch, and I see how you all respond to one another when you get poked, when you get bumped, somebody scratches you. I watch. It's amazing to watch the love and grace, the patience that we share with one another. Church should feel like family. I don't know about in your house, but in my house, sometimes we bump into each other. Sometimes we push the wrong button. Sometimes the phone rings at an inopportune time. But you show patience. You don't let it knock you off. It's cool. Why? Because we family. We family. I'm not gonna let this, for real. I'm not gonna let this knock me off. I love you. I appreciate you. Blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. So if you're not getting poked, if you're not getting scratched, if everything is all good, that might mean you're not in close enough. That means you're probably not in, because I promise you, when you get in here with us, you're gonna get an elbow every now and then. Unintentionally. I didn't mean it, but it's gonna happen. How are you gonna react? So if you don't ever have to exercise patience, come a little closer. Get a little closer. The church should feel like a loving family. Kent Hughes, is a quote from Kent Hughes. He says, "Obey the Lord, and an unparalleled family experience awaits you." Just obey the Lord. Are you in the family? Are you doing His will? Let's bow your heads with you.